Hey everyone, so in this video I figured I'd just share some of my recent drawings with you, especially if you haven't followed me yet on Instagram or on Facebook or those platforms, because that's where I really share my drawings. So if you haven't been following me there, you're really missing out. As a matter of fact, that's where I had a recent giveaway, a book giveaway with some art supplies sponsored by Sakura. So, please make sure you remember to follow me on Instagram so you don't miss out on opportunities like that. And I'm going to be having a really awesome watercolor giveaway pretty soon. I'm going to be giving away a set of my favorite 14 colors, and all the paints, the tin, everything is going to be new, and it's going to be sponsored by Schminky. So that's going to be pretty exciting. And I was able to get my 14 favorite colors that actually makes or comprises my basic palette. So someone is going to be winning that. I think that's going to be pretty awesome. So stay posted for that. I'm going to give you updates on when that's going to be soon. Yeah, so this one was just one I did to practice textures. I love drawing texture with pen and ink. It's one of my favorite things to do. Regardless of whatever subject I'm drawing, I always try to find some way to accentuate texture or to find some texture there that I can play with. And I was just playing around with textures here. And sometimes, I use this as like a reference, because at some point I may draw something that I feel like, okay, I could borrow this texture from, or I can apply some part of this to it. It's good to do your practices with simple forms, as I had mentioned, because you can apply it to any complex form after that, and also as a way to kind of like build a visual library of images for yourself for future drawings. With this one, I was just having fun with the valley shapes I saw in the glasses, and the light and shadow pattern on the face with the soft contours and the hard edges of the cast shadow. Yeah, I have tons of these small drawings. I know I definitely going to share a lot more on Instagram than I actually do. I really love like drawing building, especially old buildings and so on. This is a church. I shared on Instagram a while ago. This is a church I actually pass whenever I'm going home, and I don't know, this day I just loved the shadow patterns and the way it looked. It just gave it just shows you how light and shadow can really change the character or convey character of a particular structure. Even though the thing looks the same, structurally, it's just the light and shadow can really change the way we experience it. This is Small's Jazz Club in Lower Manhattan. One of my friends, she was playing there, and I actually, was outside the building. I was just really enamored by how interesting it looked. Just this small hole in the wall place, but it had a lot of character, as with a lot of places in Lower Manhattan anyway. But it was a really fun study, and I have a lot more of these to share with you. Yeah, this was actually a part of a building close to the school I work in, and I just liked, actually this is the old entrance. It's not used anymore, but I just liked the way it looked, and I figured it would be a cool little drawing. Yeah, this was a study I did of the underview of this rail line I saw in New York. It's pretty cool. I just love the busyness of what was going on at the bottom. Considering at the top, a lot of times we're driving, it's just so simple, and we have no idea of all the underworkings that's going on to keep this thing stable. So it was pretty interesting to actually see all that and just try to capture that. This is the skull of a mammoth I actually saw in the Natural History Museum. I thought it would be a really cool study. Actually, I have several photographs of these, and I love drawing animals. I love drawing skulls, and of course, you can see I was really taken by the texture. I was actually, having fun with the teeth here, and actually, you could see that I was kind of like morphing them to look like skulls themselves, like faces. So it was pretty interesting to have some fun with that. Yeah, I think I had the Inktober drawing. I did a drawing of a wasp. I was showing, like I cropped it so the front of it was showing, and I figured like, oh, I would just play around with the idea of having, the rear of this fly as it's kind of like, departing from the scene. you know, as you can see, I really have fun like finding creative ways to crop the subject. You know, I like doing that. I really don't like just centering a drawing and, you know, just letting it. I like having the frame of the paper somewhat, you know, be a part of how we engage with the subject that's actually framed within it, you know. So I always try to find cool ways to position the subject so that the edge of the paper actually does something with how we engage with it. I was pretty much did the same thing here. I think when I posted this on Instagram, I captioned it like peekaboo. With this one, I like the contrast, you know, that was going on, as well as, you know, all the textures, and it was just a really rich image of values and textures and details. Yeah, I couldn't resist doing this one. This started out as one drawing. I was just doing a study of my hand. I took a photograph and then I just drew it, and then it just turned out to be a series of drawings. And I tend to be like that, you know. Sometimes I start something and then I get into a momentum, I get into a groove, and I just go with it and then just ride it out, and then I just go with something else. And it's really fun to explore the creative process that way, you know. So you kind of like find your rhythm and you move with it and see where it takes you. And I feel like that's something I'm going to be doing in the future. I'll do a series of things. Maybe I'll devote a month to drawing this, or a week to drawing that, and so on. This was the second drawing in that series. And yes, it is somewhat a stylized choice too. I just, you know, kind of like the idea of leaving a finger completely unrendered, and it becomes abstract in a sense because it's flat, you know, it has no volume, but it somewhat contrasts with, you know, all the meticulous detail that's going on with the other parts of the hand and fingers. And in cases like here, what I actually do is contrast it completely with this silhouetted, you know, flat, completely black finger, and here is one that's completely silhouetted but, you know, empty of all values. So here they're contrasting in, you know, of course, and they're also contrasting as well with all the meticulous detail that's going on here. So it was a pretty interesting exploration. I liked it. And this was the last one I rendered. It was really a fun exercise. Actually, I have one here too that I didn't render this one, but it gives you an idea of how I actually study the forms, you know, in pencil before I actually go over and render in ink. How I determine where I'll actually, you know, fill in with value. Sometimes I try to look at my hand or the photograph of my hand and see how the light and shadow or that value pattern plays out. And then sometimes I just make the decision based on how I think it would work, and I take the chance and then see where it goes. Because that's the thing with ink, you can plan it and at the same time you can't, you know. So it's really exciting in that way. There's a nice rush that you get where, like, oh my god, let's see where this goes. And if it, you know, if it turns out cool, it does. If it doesn't, you just say it's a learning experience, you know. But you always learn from everything you do. I try to learn from everything I do. And I think drawing with pen and ink is very unique to that, because it locks you in. There's no way to really, you know, so you can plan, but you don't over plan either, because it takes away the rush that you have. So hopefully you guys enjoy these drawings. And, you know, in the future, that's definitely something I'm going to be doing. I'm going to have like a series of drawings, whether maybe for like a week or 2 weeks or a month, you know, just as a way of like, because it's good to challenge yourself to be consistent or stick to a particular thing for a time, you know. So even though like there are going to be times when, you know, your enthusiasm is going to go up and down, and when you're working on something, sometimes your enthusiasm will go down and you lose interest. But it's important that you maintain discipline. It's like, for example, when you develop a portfolio, it's very important that you show variety, but at the same time you have to show some unity. You have to show that there's something consistently you in all the works or in a particular work. And, you know, doing a series is really good way of exercising that. I'm going to be having more giveaways as well, challenges and so on, so you guys can definitely look forward to that. And you know, I think I'm using or thinking more about using Instagram as just like somewhere to have fun, you know, show your drawings, interact with you guys and see your ideas and share your ideas and, you know, something like that. So hopefully we can make it more interactive. And as I said, if you haven't followed me there, please make sure you do now so you don't miss out on giveaways and stuff like that when I have them in the future, right? So thanks so much for watching, guys, and I see you in the next video.